Welcome back. Well, it's almost the end of the first week of the new year. And if you are among those who are big on making New Year's resolutions, well, we're asking this morning, how are you faring making New Year's resolutions or committing to making a lifestyle change at the turn of the year has fast become an annual ritual for many. But really, how many of us actually stick to them? There are those who truly commit and persevere and honor their resolutions. And then there are those who start out with really good intentions on making a lifestyle change, but quickly fall by the wayside. Let's check in with psychologist Nevern Subramoney on why this is the case. He joins us now via Zoom. Nevern, good morning to you, and thank you so much for giving us your time.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me. And that's a great color on you, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I made a resolution to be as bright as possible in 2023. Let's talk about this because I'm making a joke about my own resolutions, but I know that just having this conversation, we're making a lot of our viewers feel quite guilty because some of us have already started to slip up, right? So how are you faring and sticking to your resolutions a week into 2023?
Yeah, I think so far so good. I don't usually make any big resolutions. I try to turn them into little actionable steps that I can implement. And I usually don't even start on the New Year's Day. So I think it's been going good since November, December for myself. But I know a lot of people prefer to start on the 1st of Jan, which comes with pros and cons.
Yeah, I know that I've certainly slipped up. So for the viewers that have slipped up, I'm feeling the guilt with you as well. How often is it though that and why do we struggle to stick to the New Year's resolutions? I argue sometimes that the pressure is you've got a brand new year, you've got this idea that you should have, you have a brand new clean slate, but we forget that we're still the same people that we were in 2022.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. And we're not just the same people, we're also living in the same environments. We have the same people around us. Our social world is the same. We have the same identity. There's momentum in our behavior. Behavior change is hard. And I think people, especially those who you're referring to, who feel guilty, I think they should understand that behavior change can be very difficult when they've been doing otherwise for years, if not decades. But there are many reasons that we do fail, which I can go into.
Yes, please. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I think one of the most, well, maybe just some statistics there.
Sure, yes, go ahead, yeah.
It's about 60% of people who say they'll do a New Year's resolution, and it's only 40% who actually try once it comes to the 1st of Jan. And then out of that 40%, you're looking at about 10% who succeed. So again, for those listening, if you are failing, you're definitely in the majority, you're normal. Yeah. But yeah, for those who do fail, I think the biggest thing I see is a lack of preparation. And I think the research also indicates this, because you need to understand what triggers the bad habit or the bad behavior. You need to understand what aspects of your environment contribute to that behavior occurring. You need to gather resources that you need to change the behavior. So there are a lot of things that need to go into the behavior that often people, they don't spend time on that preparation phase and they jump straight to the action phase. And then I think another problem that occurs is if they get it right for the first week or two, they struggle with the maintenance phase, which comes after. How can I make this sustainable? How can I make this less effortful?
Yeah. And I think there certainly is that vigor when you get started and you hit the gym. And that's why in January, if anyone's been inside the gym lately this week, you'll find that the gym is quite full in the first month of the year, and then those numbers start to trickle away. So it's the maintenance. So a few tips then on how we stick to the resolutions, right? We're told over and over again it takes 21 to 28 days to build a habit. We've all heard it. I don't know how many of us have actually been able to put that into practice.
Yeah, so what's interesting there with the research on habits is that those 21 to 28 days can occur with more simplistic behaviors, but for most habits, you're actually looking at 60 to 90 days. So I usually recommend for most people that they try to push through at least till the end of March. If you can get it right, at least until the end of March, you've probably got it down. You've probably laid down those neural networks solidly enough for you to carry on that behavior on your own. But in terms of tips tips for maintenance, I think the first thing is understanding why you want to change. One of the most powerful foundations that we can have for behavior change is having a good reason. I think the philosopher Nietzsche said a person who has a why can bear almost any how. So having that why is very important, and making that big in your mind, because that'll give you the motivation when motivation is low. I think the second thing you can do is making sure, again, that you're prepared well. So understanding your triggers and avoiding those triggers. People, places, things, whatever those triggers are, understanding them, avoiding them can be very helpful. Gathering the resources you need can be very helpful. And I think in terms of the action, it's always helpful to reward yourself for a behavior. So when you do succeed, having a little treat, having a little reward at some basic level, because we're biological organisms, we're just like pets, where the doggy treat works on us as well, but we just have our own doggy treats.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. It's, of course, you've got to keep a close eye on the treats as well, because the reward treat can be the one thing that certainly sets you back. What are the popular resolutions that you hear the most? I mean, I've heard a lot of, I'm going to stop drinking, or I'm going to lose weight. Those are the big ones. What are some of the big ones that you've heard?
Yeah, definitely health. I'd say health-related behavior is probably like 70% of what I hear. So health-related behaviors include stopping the use of a substance. Usually that substance is alcohol. I think the second most common is smoking, or any nicotine or tobacco-related behaviors. You get weight loss, as you've mentioned, is very common. I also hear a lot related to social dynamics, wanting to be more authentic in a social space, wanting to be a bit more assertive, wanting to be a bit more compassionate, or trying to reconnect with people, because we are social beings as well. A lot of our lives is social. Even what we're doing right now is social. So I hear a lot of that. And I think occupational, work-related productivity things. How can I be more productive? How can I make more money? Things like that.
Oh, the money's definitely up there. The money's definitely up there for many of us, especially in these tough economic times. And then when we're not able to meet those targets, I mean, and I say this, it's Thursday, and I know so many of us have already slipped up on the promises that we made to ourselves just last weekend. And there's the emotional repercussion that comes with that, right? The self-imposed guilt and the shame that comes with not being able to live up to it. And it does something quite powerful, perhaps even dangerous, I think, to our self-esteem, if you will, when we're not able to live up to the goals that we set for ourselves. How do we protect ourselves against our own self-guilting and shaming?
Oh man, that's such a great question, and it's so true. You said that like a psychotherapist. I see that so often, and a lot of what we help people with when trying to change a behavior is not actually how to succeed, but how to fail well at it, because it's learning how to fail well that gets you there eventually. Because everyone is going to slip. In behavior change, we call them slips, and a very important skill, as you acutely observed, is learning how to deal with slips. And part of that, again, as you observed, is learning how to deal with the self-criticism that comes with it. So we try to take a responsibility versus blame approach. You can blame yourself and you can beat yourself with a stick for what happened in the past, or you can take responsibility for what's going to happen going forward. And partly what helps with that is just reframing how hard behavior change is. Because if you think you're supposed to be able to change your behavior like this, you will be hard on yourself. But if you understand that behavior change is difficult and that there are many factors that want to keep the system in place, then you can actually be a bit easier on yourself and use the failure to guide your next attempt at the behavior change.
Yeah, I quite like that, and I think that's a really good way, a really good place for us to wrap it up, with the idea that you still have control over what's still coming. So if you didn't stick to your goals in the first week of 2023, well, you still have the rest of the year to try again. Nevern, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it, and all the best with reaching your goals this year as well.
Yes, it's a pleasure. Thank you. Same to you.
Great stuff. Nevern Subramoney is a psychologist.